God, we give you thanks that we have been brought here today. The morning has broken and the sun is risen to give you worship, praise, and glory. Take our eyes and see through them. Take our lips and speak through them. Take our hands and work through them. Oh God, take our hearts and set them on fire. Amen.
Amen.
I don't know when the last time was when you gave some thought to Judgment Day, but all of the readings for today focus on this topic. The idea of God returning at the final hour is not new, and in fact it's not even unique to the Hebrew Scriptures. In most of the world's religious traditions, there's a sense that creation will not go on forever, that destruction will occur, and when that happens, that there will be a reckoning, there will be sorting, and then often a judgment. And that fact, however near or distant it might be, presents us with two sides of a proverbial coin. The choice of worrying about the future or focusing on the present. Often we flip this coin when we are confronted by a passage like today's gospel, which raises this question about Judgment Day, not something we think about, I don't think, very often. On one side of this coin, there is a face, the face of the worriers. Throughout history, groups of people have worried about whether or not they were living in, quote-unquote, the end times, preparing for Judgment Day. In the second reading, Paul is dealing with people who have this anxiety. He's trying to address their hysteria within a young Christian community in Thessalonica, and he needs to calm them down. They are living in a time of persecution, of immorality, of violence, and they legitimately think that they are nearing the end. So Paul warns them not to be quickly shaken in mind or alarmed, either by spirit or by word or by letter. Those words from Paul are just as relevant for us today. What's more important is to focus not on where they might go in the end or how they might be judged, but rather to focus on who they are. Paul reminds them, you are brothers and sisters. You are beloved by the Lord. And that advice calms them down. Furthermore, on the other side of this proverbial coin is the tails side, and it's the tale of those people who aren't concerned at all about Judgment Day. Maybe they aren't worrying enough. They need to feel a sense of urgency. They don't need to be calmed down, they just need to be convinced. The Sadducees in the story fall into that camp. They are dubious about the day of judgment and downright dismissive about any sort of resurrection. So in the gospel, they try to force Jesus to show his cards on this topic. They pose a theoretical question concerning a resurrection that they don't believe in. They try to trick Jesus with this story about a woman whose husband has died and who then remarries, and then remarries, and remarries, and remarries, and remarries again and again until she has married all 7 brothers, and this was part of the Levitical law of the time. She's married all 7 brothers, then all the 7 brothers die, and then she dies. It's a ridiculous scenario, and it's a ridiculous question. Whose wife will she be in the afterlife? And I can see Jesus rolling his eyes, for goodness sakes, it doesn't matter. You're focusing on the wrong thing. Sometimes we focus on the wrong thing too. While we may not specifically give much thought to the day of judgment, we often find ourselves flipping this little coin, focusing on our actions in the present moment, or alternately, on the consequences in the future. Some of us either focus too much on the future and forget to live in the present, or we live in the present and forget to be mindful of the future. And maybe we go back and forth flipping this coin depending on where we are in life. Some people worry about the here and now, and they forget the there and the then. Some people are so focused on the there and the then that they forget to live in the here and the now. But why does Jesus ask this ridiculous question? I think that he entertains the Sadducees' little story because in many ways their question is often our question, but we pose it a little differently, without the absurdity of the woman and her 7 marriages and remarriages and her afterlife dilemma. Whether they see it or not, embedded in the words of the Sadducees is a question about the character of resurrection and the location of hope. The character of resurrection, what that means, and the location of hope. Where do we find our hope? For their theoretical woman's entire life, she has suffered under ridiculous circumstances. And it is this question of suffering that Jesus is really getting at in his response. If the life to come is only a parallel to or continuation of the life that is now, why would she want to be resurrected? The woman is a fiction that the Sadducees have created, oppressed by a ridiculous system and a law that makes her marry and remarry in which she is devoid of any agency or autonomy. While her life doesn't factually exist, suffering in all of its many forms certainly shows up for all of us in different ways, because our human lives are not immune to suffering or despair. The question that Jesus answers is one that most who honestly wrestle with the gospel at some point encounter. Where do we discover hope in the midst of life's suffering? What does hope look like after we die? Well, the answer to that question lies in a very different sense of time. It's a different sense of time that is offered by our faith, by our Christian faith. We live in what Christian theologians call the already and the not yet. Interesting little phrase. Already and not yet. It's the belief that Jesus has already come, and we have the promise of the resurrection. And Jesus has not yet returned to judge in the second coming. And we live in this tension, and this is exactly the time of year when we are made aware of it. This liturgical time of the year between celebrating the feast of Christ the King, the end of the liturgical season, 2 weeks, reminding us that Christ has not yet returned but will come again as judge. And then we juxtapose that with the beginning of Advent, the beginning of the liturgical calendar, when we wait and then celebrate the fact that Jesus is Emmanuel, meaning God with us. We live in the already and not yet tension of this waiting for someone who has already arrived and who will arrive again. And it is this different sense of time that gives us hope to see that we, in our living, while we are moving towards the moment of our dying, are being moved towards resurrection. And so Jesus says, God is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Yet resurrection to new life seems impossible. And as I was thinking about that, I stumbled on a poem by an Asian poet, Lee Young Lee, called From Blossoms. And her words in this poem resonate just as those words from Jesus do. She writes, "Oh, to take what we love inside, to carry within us an orchard, to eat not only the skin, but the shade, not only the sugar, but the days, to hold the fruit in our hands, adore it, then bite into the round jubilance of peach. There are days we live as if death were nowhere in the background, from joy to joy to joy, from wing to wing, from blossom to blossom to impossible blossom, to sweet, impossible blossom. The Italian poet Dante Alighieri, in his poem The Paradiso, pictures souls entering heaven as a giant celestial white rose, which blossoms and grows with each new addition. It becomes more beautiful. In our best moments, when we can transcend the shackles of time in the here and the now, we are able to focus not on the coin, but on the one who holds it, putting our hands in the hand of the man from Galilee. In the bread and the wine and the communion here and now, there and then, past, present, and future, are somehow one. And we are encouraged to stand in a different sense of time, to see and to be from a different perspective. We break bread. Christ has died. We eat the bread. Christ has risen. We are the bread for the world. Christ will come again. We together, one body, one church, constitute the shape of resurrection, moving toward that culminating day when our bodies will rise. Those who have been dehumanized will be restored. Those who have experienced great suffering will be released. Those who have been oppressed will be set free. Those who have been treated as inferior will be raised up and called beloved. Children of God, like angels, children of the resurrection. The day when we will blossom into a sweet, impossible blossom. Amen.